So, ladies and gentlemen, in previous podcasts, we were talking about some really good players that the Montreal Canadiens, not say gave away, but were late bloomers. And I've noted in previous podcasts that 1975 quarterfinal between Montreal and the Vancouver Canucks, they had a lot of great players on the Canucks that year. And of course, one of them was a former Montreal Canadian who really only bloomed as a player or a late bloomer after he left Montreal. Now, Andre Gerard Boudrias, born September 19th, 1943, and of all places, of course, Montreal, Quebec, spent 12 seasons in the NHL, as well as 2 more years in the WHA between 1963 and 1978. His time with the Vancouver Canucks is when he really bloomed. He was really the first pure offensive star in the team's history. And before his passing, unfortunately, in 2019, he was a scout for the New Jersey Devils. Now, Boudrias, like many future Montreal Canadian players, was signed by the Habs at an early age and starred for the Montreal Junior Canadiens between 1961 and 64. He would twice lead the Junior Canadiens in scoring, including the 63-64 team, which featured future Hall of Famers Yvon Cornway, Jacques Lemaire, and Serge Savard. Now, he had a really big start with his career in Montreal in 1964 with a goal and 4 assists in 5 games. But he had sent him back to the AHL, and he went on nights for seasoning. And he really 65-66 again, another time with the Apollos. But for some reason, he couldn't really crack Montreal's tough lineup. He wasn't the biggest player in the world, even though his skills were tremendous. At 5'8" and 173 pounds, he really only bloomed when he got expansion. Now, Montreal made a big decision when the expansion occurred in 1967. He was hoping that it would be a good opportunity for him to get a regular shift in the NHL, and Montreal tried to take care of that by trading him to Minnesota North Stars on the day of the expansion draft. Now, his rookie season was tremendous with the North Stars, leading the team with an assist with 35 and second in points with 53. Now, Boudrias, for some reason, the season after, he had a very inconsistent year. He was eventually found himself playing with the Chicago Blackhawks in '69, and then was on the road again in 1970, playing with St. Louis with only 3 goals in 50 games. Now, he had some time of seasoning with the Kansas City Blues, but when expansion occurred again with the Vancouver Canucks, he was kind of, on the parallel. And it was a little bit of history. Boudrias was given one last chance by St. Louis. He played against St. Louis, played against Boston in the final, the famous Bobby Orr goal. But he had a good playoff run that year where he notched 6 points in 14 games. So the talent was already there. And when Vancouver decided to make a deal for Boudrias, and the management of Vancouver saw something in him, because Boudrias was a very, very good offensive player and very good on a typical 5-on-5. Wouldn't score many power play goals, but he was tremendous on one-on-ones. Now, like I said, Boudrias should evidently be in Vancouver's Hall of Fame if he's not in there already. He led the team in scoring in 4 of the first 5 seasons and only trailed future Boston Bruins sniper Bobby Schwartz by a point the other year. Now, one of the best nicknames besides the Rat for Ken Linseman, his nickname in Vancouver was Superpest for his tremendous skating and forechecking abilities. Now, some masters of the trap point to Boudrias as the guy that originated that modern system you had now. You look at Brendan Gallagher, you look at some of the top players for Boston, for Vegas. If the other team had the puck, he was there right away. Now, very good on the opposite side of the ends. It was a typical two-way player, but he was known for doing the circles around the ice near the blue line. Guy Lafleur said it's like a friggin' mosquito. It's tremendous. Now, he became kind of the face of the franchise between him and Dennis Kearns and Dale Talon and Jocelyn Geverma. And by the time he set franchise records for assists and points in 74, he would break those own records in 75. Now, his 62 assists in that season remained a franchise record for more than 3 decades, but it was only broken by Henrik Sedin all the way 34 years later, the 2007 season. Now, Vancouver, like I said, made that first ever playoff appearance, and he gave everything they could to Montreal, and Montreal had lost the first game in the series, but he won 4 straight. But if you can take a look at Game 5, where Montreal had a comeback, I think it was twice, to win in overtime, you can see Boudrias and the young players, Cliff Odlofsson, and like I said, the young defense and offense. Now, he was the only player left from the Vancouver 71 team to be on that playoff squad, so it was a complete rebuild. Now, for the 76 season, Boudrias was named the team's captain, but unfortunately, I think the pressure and his age got to him. He only had 7 goals and 38 points because he was getting more and more being used on defensive style, like Guy Carbonneau. By the time he reached his mid-30s, he decided to leave the Canucks and probably fulfill another dream by returning closer to home and signed with the Quebec Nordiques of the WHA. Now, during his time with Quebec, he spent most of the time being one of the most popular players on the team and was part of the squad's Avco Cup Championship team in 1977, and he wrapped up his career in 1978 with 27 points in 66 games. Now, he finished his NHL career with impressive totals: 151 goals and 340 assists for 491 points in 662 games, but very good clean player, only 260 minutes in penalties. Playoff totals were very impressive as well, with 22 goals and 48 assists for 70 points in 140 WHA games. Now, following his retirement, Boudrias went on to become one of hockey's most respected scouts, first with Montreal and New Jersey. In 86 and 93, he helped Montreal win the Stanley Cup with the Habs as an assistant GM and a director of scouting. He then joined New Jersey in the summer of 94, and a longtime employee of the Devils. Boudrias later served as one of the squad's pro scouts and helped them to Stanley Cups in 95, 2000, and 2003. And like I said, the passing was a big loss for hockey in 2019. But Superpest, nobody in Quebec called him Superpest, but Vancouver fans. But that was a term of endearment. Like there are different nicknames when you call someone a sniper. But Boudrias, class act all the way, nice gentleman, very respectful of the parents and the process of the junior development program. But I always wonder, like I said, they say once a Montreal Canadian, always a Montreal Canadian. You look at comparable things right now with Kirk Muller, leaving Montreal for a while, coming back as a associate coach or coach. Boudrias, ironically, with a name like that, he was born in Whistler, BC. He wasn't, he was born in Quebec, but he died in Whistler. He was always a person that never gave up his connection to the teams he played for, like Vancouver, New Jersey, Montreal. But I still think that 1975 series, if Montreal would have lost one of the games, who knows what was going to happen, because Vancouver at the time was a rising squad, and I know the jerseys are terrible, but they played their hearts out in that series. If they would have had somebody, let's say like a young Dennis Marouk or Mike Gartner, because they could play offensively with Montreal that year. They weren't shamed by that. And Ken Dryden once said, "I didn't know they were that good." And I think one of the French announcers said, "Well, a team with Boudrias on it's going to be good." So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. This is the latest Sports File podcast on the Montreal Canadian legacy players of the 60s. We hope you enjoyed it. And like we like to say up North Shore, keep your stick in the ice. Bye.